Hi everybody, welcome back to Kingdom College Selective Preparation Power Reading. Today we'll be looking at Test 38. Okay, so we've got extracts A and B. Hopefully you've read this in your own time. We're going to get straight into the questions. Okay, question 1 says, in extract B, which two islands are the largest? So looking back at extract B, in the first paragraph, we've got this section here. The two largest islands, Viti Levu and Vanua Levu, are home to most of the population. So, looking back at this question, it must be C. Question 2, in extract A, what is the capital city? Okay, so extract A, we have to look in the, not the first, not the second, the third paragraph. Let's have a look. The Isle of Pines, a half-hour flight from Noumea, the capital city, has a number of beautifully appointed bungalows on the beach with a resort-style hotel and facilities. Okay, so it's saying here that the Isle of Pines, a half-hour flight from Noumea, the capital city. That does not mean that the Isle of Pines is the capital city. It means that Noumea is the capital city. So, looking back at question 2, it must be Noumea. So, looking at question 3, in which extract is firewalking mentioned as a means of celebration? Looking at these extracts, I can't seem to see firewalking mentioned anywhere in extract A. So we can safely assume that extract A is not the answer. Let's see if firewalking turns up in extract B. If we have a look in the third paragraph, they do actually mention firewalking ceremonies alongside kava rituals and meke, I hope I'm saying that right, meke performances. So firewalking ceremonies is mentioned in extract B. So looking at this question, it must be extract B. Question number 4. What is the shared cultural feature of both extracts? Okay, a cultural feature. Let's keep that in mind here. Let's actually read through these answers first and then see which one would best fit this question. A, we've got both were colonized by the French. B, we've got indigenous and colonial influence. C, we've got a focus on historical tourism. And D, we've got independence. Okay, so there's actually one answer we can get rid of immediately, and that is C. C is automatically incorrect because a focus on historical tourism is not a cultural feature, it is economic. So I'm going to write that in here. It is an economic feature. So let's have a look at A, B, and D. Okay. So A was talking about French colonization. Noumea, or rather New Caledonia, has been colonized by the French. The island, so this is in the second paragraph, the islands have a fascinating mix of two cultures, the French, who colonized the territory in 1853. Okay, so we know that New Caledonia has French colonialism. Let's have a look at B. It says here that Fiji became a British colony in 1874. That means that it was colonized by the British, not the French, okay? That means that it cannot be A, because not both were colonized by the French, it was only one. B, indigenous and colonial influence. So in the first extract, we do see that there is a French influence, which is colonial, and then we also have the Kanaks, which is the indigenous Melanesian inhabitants. So we have that influence as well. Oh, that completely struck through it. Well, the second island of Fiji has two influences as well. Let's find it. They have the influence of British colonialism, but they also have a culture firmly rooted in indigenous traditions. Okay, so our answer could well be B. So this one is correct. But let's go and see independence first before we jump to any conclusions. Okay, A says that there has been a move towards gradual independence since 1998, and this was in the last paragraph here. However, Fiji is independent, and that had been mentioned here. Gained independence in 1970. So that's your two pieces of evidence there. So New Caledonia isn't actually independent yet. It is moving towards independence, which means it is still a French colony, whereas Fiji is independent. So it is no longer a British colony, which means that it cannot be D either. So our answer is B. Moving on to question number 5. In extract A, what has the fusion of cultures ensued? So let's look at the answers again. Economic prosperity, unique environmental features, a diverse tourist destination, and development of a beautiful landscape. So we have to look at those paragraphs that specifically talk about both colonial and indigenous cultures. So let's have a look. In that last paragraph of extract A, we've got the fusion of the two French and Kanak cultures makes for a fascinating mix and ensures that New Caledonia is an engaging tourist destination. Okay, let's have a look at extract B now. So it says here that there is an influence of British colonialism through their architecture and legal system, right? However, throughout this extract, we see that Fiji is, over here in the first paragraph, a favorite destination for honeymooners, adventure seekers, and families alike. And then here at the bottom, Fiji's warmth extends beyond its tropical climate, with the Fijian people renowned for their friendliness and hospitality, making every visitor feel at home. So in both extracts, we can see that there is a clear link to tourism, and that is the main point of each extract, as in they focus on both colonial and indigenous cultures to show that they are both very interesting places to visit for tourists. So even though B doesn't actually explicitly mention that, that would be the most relevant answer here, a diverse tourist destination, because we don't really see a lot of the other answers being expanded into. Oh, this was just for extract A, I'm sorry. So extract A mentions this. Moving on. In extract B, what aspect of culture remains firmly rooted despite British colonial influences? Okay, I believe we have mentioned this before. Let's go back. Extract B. The influence of British colonialism remains evident, especially in the architecture and legal system, and this was mentioned in that final paragraph. So we do see a big British influence. However, Fiji's culture is firmly rooted in its indigenous traditions, creating a unique blend of old and new. So we've actually touched on this briefly before. It means that even though there is a colonial influence, indigenous traditions still survive. So let's go and see which answer best talks about this. Which aspect of culture? It must be D, indigenous traditions. So that one was looking straight at what was in the text, not a lot of assumptions being made. Question 7, what is a major difference between New Caledonia and Fiji's path to independence? Okay, again, we have briefly talked about this when we went through those answer options. In New Caledonia, we know that they are not actually independent yet, they are gradually moving towards independence, okay? But in B, they gained independence in 1970, so Fiji gained independence. So let's see which answer kind of best reflects that. A, Fiji gained independence in 1970 while New Caledonia is still a French territory. Hey, that seems to best match the information in the text. Let's just see whether the other ones reflect this information as well. B, New Caledonia gained independence earlier than Fiji? No, because they are not independent at all. Fiji was never colonized, unlike New Caledonia. That is also wrong because Fiji was colonized by the British. And D, both gained independence from the French government. We know that is wrong because Fiji was colonized by the British. A lot of repetition there, but that would be A. And finally, question number 8. If tourism were to be impacted significantly, who would be affected? A, Fiji, B, New Caledonia, C, both, or D, neither. So in this case, we know that it is going to be C, both, because as said in the previous question, we know that tourism is a big part of both cultures, and it is affected by both colonialism and also Indigenous practices. So we know that it's going to be C, both. Okay, so the key points from this test are to first, make sure to read the options carefully before going back to the extracts. I think that will really help you understand what kind of information you are looking for and easily get rid of any questions that you know are going to be incorrect. The next thing is to be mindful of which extract the question is referring to, because often the questions switch between extract A and extract B. So you don't want to be answering the question for extract B when the question is calling for extract A only. And finally, make sure you understand the key concepts of the extracts. So in this case, it was talking a lot about colonialism and tourism and culture. So you want to make sure that you actually understand what the extract is trying to tell you. And that concludes this video for test 38.